can an airplane pilot fly a helicopter? Let's find out.
Just relax, relax.
Now, before we get too in-depth here, I just kind of wanted to lay out a full kind of disclaimer of sorts. I do have my private pilot's license for fixed-wing aircraft with about 150 hours or so. So, in other words, a very low-time pilot. I have spent a lot of time around helicopters throughout my life in varying situations. However, I have never really got to take control of one. So, being the nerd that I am, I actually ended up spending a substantial amount of money on a setup that would allow me to replicate the control surfaces of a helicopter as well as be visually immersed in the training environment as much as possible. My training solution basically consists of an Oculus virtual reality headset alongside with a Puma ProFlight X Trainer control setup. So prior to jumping into the actual helicopter, I spent a number of hours on this training rig in the weeks leading up to this flight. I do believe that some of this experience did translate over into the real machine when I did jump into it. However, as you will see, a lot of it still needs to be learned in the actual aircraft. So naturally, the sim experience was not enough for me, and I managed to arrange half-hour or jet ranger time at a local helicopter company. So making our way out to the airport, we met with the company owners and actually pushed the machines out, got them all ready. I got my cameras and everything all set up, and off to the races. Now, given the complexity of the startup procedures of the Jet Ranger, I was not exactly handed this responsibility, rightfully so, and after the pilot started the machine, we swapped places and put me in the right seat. So jumping into the right seat, I was given the control rundown and basically handed off all three controls to lift off from the ground and take off. Here is the culmination of three control surfaces all given to me at once. It's quite hilarious.
So, just pull it up. It's going to be probably just with two of you guys on that side, it'll pick up pretty even.
Okay. Yeah, because it'll be left skid low on this one with the translating tendency, right?
Yeah, usually, yeah. And then just keep your eyes out front to make sure you got enough pedal in. Taxi, let's go to the button at 2.6 over there.
Okay. Just trying to get used to it here.
Yeah, it is sensationally, it's different from the sim, eh?
Oh yeah, it's totally different.
It's all good, slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
And then just bring it back up into the hover. pedal than what you did last time.
Yeah.
And that'll stop you from getting into that swinging around, chasing yourself. So keep your eyes up out front. You can pick up any sort of visual cues that go on there. A little bit less pedal, a little bit less pedal. Yep, there you go. Okay, turn 90 degrees to my side.
Yeah.
Keep coming, so we're perpendicular to the runway. Okay, don't come up too much. I want you to land the aircraft again.
Okay.
Just relax, don't chase it too hard. Yeah, all the way to the ground. Nice. Okay.
So essentially we spent the next few minutes just picking up and putting down, picking up and putting down, just some usual hover practice, and then broke off into a circuit and then went downwind from the circuit here, and then ended up coming back to the same runway for some more hover practice, just to try to get used to the machine a little bit. At this point I found it very challenging and very hard, to say the very least.
Okay, to those numbers. Okay, put it on the ground. Nice and gentle. Right on. Okay, just relax again.
Yep.
Once you're good, pick her back up into the hover. This time we're going to turn 90 degrees to the runway, and we're going to fly down the runway sideways to the end of like where that yellow line is.
Yep.
Then we're going to stop there. We'll turn 180 degrees and we'll fly down the runway, the opposite sideways flight to the next end of the next lines,
Yep.
center lines. Then stop there, and then we'll take off and we'll go for a quick scoot around town.
Yep.
Okay, so nice and gentle. Bring her up. Okay, it'll turn us a little bit, whatever way you feel comfortable first. Okay, so keeping this height, we're going to fly down the runway, and I want you to look down the runway and just fly on that center line.
So at this point, if you already couldn't tell, it is actually extremely difficult to keep a helicopter just even in stable flight, let alone try to land it and take it off and spin around at 180 degrees and side shift and side shift again. It's a lot of work, and moving over from the sim directly into the real machine, there is a large disconnect from what the eye sees versus what the body feels going from a sim to an actual aircraft. Not saying that I didn't anticipate such a disconnect, but it's just still a bit surprising to say the least. So basically from here on out, we're just doing a little bit of a maneuver practice on the shorter runway at the airport here, and then we proceed to go for a bit of a burn around town, just to kill off the last little bit of the time that we had booked and go for a little bit of a sightseeing tour and then come back to the airport.
See your place there, Shane?
Yeah, you bet.
The wife out looking at you?
Told her we were flying over.
Yeah.
Just keep going to the far side of town.
Yep.
Definitely a little more different than this compared to flying an airplane with you.
What are you saying, Shane?
You did a great job.
See if you can put the tail rotor on that yellow diamond.
Oh boy.
Don't chase it too hard, just go and land it where you think that tail rotor is going to be over that diamond. I thought it might be a little bit warmer today, eh?
Yeah, a little cool down a little bit.
Yeah, don't chase too hard, just relax.
Ooh, that was a rough one.
There you go. Okay, you can roll that throttle back. Yeah, there you go.
So
Turn the frictions on.
Under friction to the collective then.
Just here.
Well done.
Right on. 2 minutes to cool down and then
Awesome.
we'll shut her off.
So that was fun. It's always fun.
It's hard work, eh?
Oh yeah, it's a lot different. It's totally different, yeah. You know, even with the sim and everything, it just doesn't compare really at all. You can get some of your like motions and like your instrumentation and stuff is the same in the sim, but I mean, you can't really replicate that feeling of flight, right? Like it just feels totally different. You have feedback on your control surfaces, and then you also have the wind, which isn't replicated very well on the sim. So yeah, there's little things that you don't.
Yeah, those
Train for.
inconsistencies in tail rotor authority, right?
Yeah.
For the angle of wind that's acting on the aircraft. Or when
Right.
you're, changing power settings and that sort of stuff, like you can tell as soon as that aircraft's out of trim inside here, but in the sim, it feels like there's a little bit of a lag
A
or
little
something.
bit of latency,
Yeah.
before you actually can see it or see it translate into the sim, right?
Yeah.
So walking away from this flight, there's a number of things that kind of stick out in my head right away. Quite obviously, the first fact is that you can't jump into a sim and then jump into the real machine and expect all that experience to translate over 100%. It's just not going to happen. Okay? And I learned that very, very quickly within the first couple of seconds of taking control of the real machine. Now, keep in mind, I am also a fixed-wing pilot as well. I know the experience doesn't translate over basically at all. Helicopters and airplanes have in common that they fly. That's essentially it. So the experience that was gained in the fixed-wing aircraft throughout my short flying life is basically written off when it comes to helicopters. That being said, I do think there is a lot of value in sim training as well, especially in today's day and age with the virtual reality. I do think that there is great value in being immersed in the sim training environment, as well as combined with a proper control setup can actually start to give you somewhat of a muscle memory towards the actual actions that you might be required to do. I do think it was very fun, and I also will definitely probably be going back for some more time if I can get it, as well as logging some hours in an actual machine at a flight school that I can put down towards the helicopter license should I decide to go for it in the future. So there you have it, my direct experience with being an airplane pilot and jumping into a helicopter. As you can see, it's not as easy as it looks, but I'll tell you what, it sure is a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.